young people who have come up to say that they are fighting for freedom because they are marginalized. And one of the areas that they've all spoken about and against is the fact that they are the only zone. Southeast is the only zone in Nigeria that has 5 states. Why is that? Why was it done intentionally to undermine them? Of course, yes. And from...
Hello everyone and welcome back to Naija Star News, your #1 channel for bold analysis and real reactions to Nigeria's biggest political stories. Today we are diving into a powerful and emotional interview that is sparking serious debate across the country. On Channels TV, veteran journalist Seun Okinbaloye sat down with Senator Ned Nwoko and the senator didn't hold back. He made a strong case for the creation of a new state, Anioma, out of Delta North, saying it is time for equity and fairness for the Igbos. But that's not all. He also called for the immediate release of Nnamdi Kanu, insisting both moves could finally bring peace to the troubled Southeast. The interview has set social media on fire, with some praising Nwoko's courage and others questioning his motives and timing. So what exactly did Senator Nwoko say? And could this really calm the agitations in the East or open new political battles? Let's take a quick look at that interview clip, and then I will break down what this could mean for Nigeria's future. Stay tuned.
Why are you advocating? You are the major pusher, especially on the floor of the Senate. And you have argued with your colleagues the need for an Anioma State. And don't even begin the conversation around marginalization, because that is the first thing, because people will say, we have Southwest 6 states, South 6 states, Northeast 6 states, North Central 6 states, Northwest 7 states, but Southeast 5 states. Is that part of the agenda? To fix the Southeast that seems to be smaller in terms of the number of states, or what?
Well, almost just over a year ago, I had a meeting with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where I discussed about the problems of Southeast, the insecurity in Southeast. You know, what do we do to address it? And he knows the problems, and he also has an idea. The whole idea is that there should be some level of equity extended to the Igbos of Southeast by having an additional state. It wasn't going to be an easy task, you know, to create one, but it is doable, and I'm happy that we have come this far. The point is this: even at that time, it was understood that the problems of Southeast, the agitations of the youths of Southeast, the killings there, the referring to the ESN groups and ESN and IPOB and the rest of them, these are young people who have come up to say that they are fighting for freedom because they are marginalized. And one of the areas that they've all spoken about and against is the fact that they are the only zone. Southeast is the only zone in Nigeria that has 5 states. Why is that? Why was it done intentionally to undermine them? Of course, yes. And from engaging those youths, it became so obvious that if a step is taken in creating one state, just one state, to bring it apart with the 5 other zones, let's leave Northwest out of this now, at least bring it apart to the 4 other zones, then something would have been done for them. You know, yes, they are clamoring for different things, but I mean, not least, of course, the release of Nnamdi Kanu. They are asking for it. We know that that is something that has to be done. You know, you would just say
Nnamdi Kanu to be
yes, yeah, of course.
Why do you think so?
Nnamdi Kanu has been in custody for some time now. I believe that he has been held unjustly. Many people feel that way.
As a lawyer, do you think so?
Oh yes. That
the judicial process is unjust?
Yes. Yeah, no, it has been. There's a lot of delays in prosecuting him and all that. If you want to get him tried and convicted, get on with it. You know. But this is a guy who has been held unjustly aside, for so many months.
And the Buhari government started it.
I'm not talking about this government.
So the point I'm making now,
I'm talking about the previous government under Buhari.
When it's facing a judicial process right now.
Yes.
Saying it's just because the argument is that there should be a political solution, maybe a null prosecution. Prosecution should be established on that for the case to be withdrawn. But there are those who say, well, there are allegations and it's left for the law for him to have his day in court, which is in process.
But as you know, there have been some pronouncements by the Federal High Court, which has not been respected. So his incarceration is the main reason for the crisis in Southeast.
The crisis started before he was even arrested.
No.
The killings, the burning of police station, the killing of police officers and all whatnot.
Well, look, the problem in Southeast is very different from what is in the Northeast or Northwest and all those areas. The problem in the Southeast has to do with the perceived injustice by governments, successive governments. So what needs to be done? And one of it's why I'm here today, talking about the creation of states to make up the number up to 5. And then you have the release of Nnamdi Kanu. By the time you do these two things, I am almost certain that peace will return to Southeast.
Let me ask you this question.
I have spoken to so many youths in from Southeast, and they have assured me that that they are prepared to be engaged by us, by the leadership. When this is done, they don't want to die. The youths don't want to die. They want to go back to schools. They want to go back to their jobs. All they want is some level of respect and acknowledgement by the nation, by the government of Nigeria.
I want to ask you, and this exists in almost every region of the country, where you have your brothers in different states and all whatnot. Are there Igbos outside of the 5 states of the Southeast in Nigeria today?
Well, I'm surprised you're asking.
No, because for the sake of our...
Yes, for the sake of your listeners. Let me say this. When it was Western Nigeria, when we had Western Nigeria, I'm sure you've heard of some people being described as Western Igbos. Subsequently, when Midwest was created, by referendum, as you know, they were called Midwest Igbos. Then the name changed to Bendel. They were called Bendel Igbos. And of course, Delta came up with the Edo State, and now they're called the Delta Igbos. And that is the Aniomas, the people, our people. 9 local government areas. In that senatorial district. And we are almost completely Igbos. Of course, there are arguments about some areas, some people have come from Igala or come from Benin. But the fact is that, according to Delta State gazetted laws, there are only 5 ethnic groups in Delta. The Urhobos, the Igbos, the Ejos, the Shekiris, and the Isokos. There's no mention of Benin. There's no mention of Yorubas, or also within Delta North.
Apart from Delta North, there are those who say, and you might be touching the wrong nerve here. In River State, for example, there are Igbos there.
Oh, of course,
the Ikweres.
Opobos.
Or the Opobos.
They're everywhere. Igbos are everywhere. Igbos actually.
So if you create, for example, are you hoping that they will join the Anioma State, or Anioma State is going to solely from your proposition and the literature that they have put forward, is going to be solely from the 9 local government areas of Delta North?
Look, initially my bill was centered around the 9 local government areas of Delta North, and however, a lot has happened since then. But if you look at the explanatory note to my bill, it talks about the Anioma State to become the 6th state of the Southeast, the 37th state of the country.
Does the Southeast, so the 5 states in the Southeast see you as Igbos?
Of course, yes.
And I've heard, I don't speak much of Igbo, but I've heard
I can tell you, look,
the 45 Igbos of the Anomas.
No. Every language has dialects. Every language, even Yorubas, from Lagos to Oyo to...
Even the Enugu Igbo is different from the Abia Igbo, is different from the Onitsha Igbo.
Of course, yes. But we are all Igbos. Anioma is historically an Igbo enclave. And there's no doubt about that. From our names to our language, to our culture, our tradition, our food, everything is Igbo. And we have always identified ourselves as Igbos. Of course, there were 2 reasons why, for so many, almost like centuries, we were kept at the back burner. kind of confined to Western Nigeria, and why most people from, or some people from my area seem to have gotten to the point where they were not sure whether they were Igbos or not Igbos. But majority of us understand who we are and understand where we've come from. And let me just explain what I mean. There are, during the war, the Civil War, most people, we had the Asaba massacre. After the Asaba massacre and the rest of the killings within our area, we were told as kids that if you see Nigerian soldiers, you must not admit that you are Igbo. You must tell them that you're from Benin or that you are Yoruba. These are kind of things that we had to do to survive the ethnic cleansing that happened at that time. So, of course, there was also this issue of Benin Empire. At the time there was a Benin Empire where, Benin at its heights extended their tentacles to our area. So much so that some people began to think that they were Benis, but we were not Benis, we were Igbos. And there's nothing Benin about us.
So you have people from Agbo,
Yes.
from Kwale, part of, I'm looking at the major areas of the North, Delta North now that we now seed into what we now be called Anioma State. The question is, the Ukwani people, they are opposing it.
No, they are not. No.
And have you heard some of the leaders who say they are vehemently opposing
they're
it?
just some vocal guys who are saying that they don't oppose the creation of Anioma State. Let me say this such a way. I don't know any Anioma person, man or woman, who is opposed to the creation of Anioma State. Some of them say they don't want to be part of Southeast because they are not Igbos. But they are just few and far between. There are very few of them.
Out of the 9 local governments.
Out of the 9 local governments.
How many of those are Igbo speaking?
All of them.
Of the 9.
All of them. We all speak Igbo.
Ukwani don't speak Igbo.
Oh, they do.
Ukwani people
they
don't majorly speak Igbo.
No, they speak Igbo. Ukwani is speaking Igbo. The Ikas speak Igbo. They call it the Kaibo, as you know. And there is no Anioma son or daughter without an Igbo name. You ask yourself.
Is there a general consensus of all the 9 local government areas?
To create Anioma, of course, yes. Because this has been a long-standing agitation. As you know, it didn't start with me. It started with the second Senate President and Federal Government of Nigeria, that's Sadini Sosanibe, so many years ago, about 70 years ago.
But economically speaking, Senator, how do we defend this? We're already complaining that we have to overbloated government.
We've gone beyond that. Delta North is rich economically. We out of the 9 local government areas, 6 of those local government areas are oil and gas producing.
And Anioma can feed itself.
Anioma, of course, completely.
What are the potentials?
I've just told you. We have
apart from oil and gas.
We have huge deposits of oil and gas. That is a lot because we have the largest gas deposit in Africa. You should know that. In the nation. Then, of course, we have agricultural lands. We have Delta North is the home of Nollywood. I'm sure you know that. And we have most of the big businesses in Nigeria, the television houses or media are from, or banking sector are from Anioma. I'm sure you know that. So we are more than self-sufficient.
Are the Delta people happy with this plan?
But we've gone beyond this.
No,
now.
the reason is that
let me tell you, we've gone beyond this now because at the retreat 2 days ago in Lagos, the consensus between the House and the Senate committees on constitutional amendment is that there should be one state for Southeast
to make it
6.
So we have 7.
Yes, and then after that, then there will be one state per zone to make it 7-7 to bring it up with Northwest.
So I'm not sure Nigerians are happy with more states. The ones that we have, at some point they were they couldn't feed themselves. They couldn't pay salaries. Now we're going to be creating. How do you convince the average Nigerian that really creation of state is the way to go?
Are you aware that in Delta State, for example, that we have the largest allocation every month? Largest allocation for FAC. Are you aware of that? And this comes from oil and gas resources. Delta North has almost 40% of that allocation. And that 40% is more than what you have in maybe Ebonyi or in Enugu or in Zamfara. So we are much more ready than most current states. We have the resources. That's not the issue.
So as a lawyer, quickly, because we're due for another break, as a lawyer, if you look at the position of the Constitution in state creation, in delineation, boundary adjustment, and local government creation, it's very clear of how, the processes on how to create a state. Have you met that criteria as stipulated by the Constitution, where the Constitution stipulates that there will be a referendum in the areas, in all of the areas, where this state creation proposition is coming from? Have you been able to meet that?
Of course, yes. Referendum will come in the next few weeks, I'm sure, or months. Almost certainly before the end of the year. We've gotten the guidelines, and for this particular creation of Anioma State, the referendum will not be limited to just the 9 local government areas. It will extend to all the 5 southeastern states, because we are trying to take the slot that belongs to southeastern states.
Why are you so passionate about this?
Because it's an agitation that's been 70-something years by our forefathers.
What if this fails, if it doesn't happen?
Well, it's life. You know, at least we would have tried our best. But who would have thought that we would have gotten to where we are now? Who would have thought so? So it's something that our forefathers fought for. They traveled and traversed across the country trying to, lobby, trying to, ask others to support them. But now we're doing it from within National Assembly, through a bill, as I said, and there is really nothing that will stop it.
All right, give me a moment. We need to go on the break. But when we come back, in truth, if this goes through and passes through all of the processes of lawmaking in the National Assembly, what are the implications? Will these douse all of the agitation and quiet the noises coming from the southeast region of the country? What are the dynamics politically, economically, and culturally? We'll be right back after this break, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. Senator Ned Nwoko has been pushing for Anioma State alongside some members of the National Assembly. But is this personal for him? Is it one that everyone has keyed into, or is just acting all by himself in all of this? How far will this go? Senator, in all of this, what gives you the optimism that this is going to be successful?
I am an optimist generally, and there's really nothing that I've put my mind to that I've not achieved. I remember many years ago, I told them I wanted to build a sports university. They said, but why sports university? And I said, look, there's need for a sports university. Many people didn't believe it would happen, but now we are in our 3rd year running. Many years ago, I said I wanted to go to Antarctica. People said, why do you want to go to Antarctica? Nobody goes there. And I did, just to prove a point. And then, of course, when I started to work on the Paris Club reforms, people said, but it's not possible to take British government to court. It's not possible to take the American government to court or the French. I said, well, it is doable. And I did.
You have done so many impossible things.
Of course, yes.
Even personally, you have done many impossible things.
Tell me what it is. But
you married 4 wives. That's almost like impossible. Isn't it?
That's another
kettle of
another topic for discussion.
We need a lecture on how you can be able to achieve that.
Every man should do that. Every man should do that.
The Bible does not prescribe that.
Oh, the Old Testament does. Old Testament.
So you're a man of Old Testament.
I am a man of
Is he planning to marry more?
I'm a man of faith. Yes.
You planning to marry more?
Well, look, that's not what you're here for.
I'm just asking. By the way, you have 4. I mean, how did you achieve that? That's incredible.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you have a wife, but you also have girlfriends. That's the difference.
No, I don't actually. Come on, I'm a Christian. One wife. That's what the Bible preaches.
I will make some research. Do some research about you.
Please do. Find out. But in all of this, how do you manage it? Because it's incredibly difficult to even manage being with a partner. Not talk of 1, 2, 3, and 4. You don't have any regrets.
The example I gave is this. Just imagine telling you to stand on 1 foot, on 1 leg. You know how difficult it is. But to stand on 2, 3, 4 is much more balanced. That's just the example I gave.
Wow.
Do you understand it? So I feel sorry for those who have 1 wife, because it's difficult to stand on 1 leg.
And you don't have any regrets?
No.
If you have your way, you still
I will do the same thing again and again. Of course, yes.
And you have a knack of marrying beautiful women.
Wow.
And young ones too.
This is the way it is. And that's the way it should be.
But you're not the ones that beat them.
You should marry who you want to marry.
You're not the one that beats them.
No, come on. I am not a violent person. I respect my wives. I love them. And I love my kids. No, not at all. Not at all.
All right. So the impossibility brought us there. That's just the topic. The impossibility brought. There are those who say, legally speaking, procedurally, this is almost impossible.
No, it is not. What is impossible about it? I remember when I discussed it with the president, as I was saying before, he assured me before I left PDP to APC that he will support it as long as we at the National Assembly are able to do our work. And our work is almost done, because by the time we get to the third reading and then the referendum, the president will take it from there.
A referendum is an expensive task. Anyway. It's like an election.
It is a plebiscite.
Yeah, it's a plebiscite.
And it will be done.
It will be conducted in Delta.
And the 5 states of Southeast.
Of the Southeast.
Of course, yes.
And you think that will happen?
Of course it will happen. It's a process.
The National Assembly has to, the Houses of Assembly have to concur.
Yeah, of course. Those are the list of the problems. Because at the right time, Mr. President will call the governors and tell them to append their signatures.
The reason why I recall your legal your expertise or training is the fact that in the last 27 years, the last person that is able to create a state is the military. And if you look at the section of the Constitution that states the creation of states, local government, boundary adjustment, and all of that, it makes it extremely difficult to be able to add to what we have in existence. And that's why a lot of lawyers, a lot of legal minds will tell you it's almost an impossibility to happen.
What the Constitution has done is to provide for steps to be taken, provide for things to be done, and you just follow them. For example, this president is very strategic, and he has done wonderful things. And I know he will still do many wonderful things. But the most important thing that he would have done for us, the Aniomas and the Igbos, generally, is to give them that one state. Something that, as you said rightly, that no other civilian administration has done. So he will do it. He will do it because he understands what to do. And you had this discussion with the president. Yeah, he will do it because he feels that there must be peace in Southeast. Mr. President understands, and he loves the Igbos, he loves Southeast. He knows that this has to be done to bring peace. He wants peace across Nigeria. And he knows that this is one thing that is needed to bring peace and justice to the Igbos.
Anthropologically, there are those who will argue otherwise, who will say, anthropologically, there's no link between Anioma and the Southeast. Anioma still reside anthropologically, culturally, and ideologically in the South-South.
I've just told you, the South-South was just a recent creation. Before then, I just told you how we're described as Western Igbos, as Midwestern Igbos, as Bendel Igbos, and now Delta Igbos. So what do they call us Igbos? And as I told you, we all have Igbo names. We all have Igbo culture. We know. Look, I spent 5. Mine is Chinedu, but everybody call me Ned from Ned. Nedu. There's no. Do you have any Igbo or any Anioma person in this country?
I'm very sure we do.
Ask them their Igbo name. They'll tell you their Igbo name. And was there any time of war of conquest by Igbos across the Niger that they came to conquer us and that compelled us to bear Igbo names? No. Our market days are 4 market days they want to have, and that's exactly what they have in Southeast. And the history is the same.
Let me quickly ask you this. When you say the Onitsha word for come is Bia, how does an Anioma person say?
Bia Biabeni or Bianeba. Look, when an Ndoko man speaks, I will understand. They also understand me. When an Eka person speaks, we understand each other. I just told you there are different dialects. London, for example, has different dialects. From east of London to west of London to south of London to they all have different dialects.
Senator,
they all speak English.
Senator, we're totally out of time. I'd like to get your final thought.
Anioma will be done as a state in Southeast, and that will bring peace to Southeast. Because some of my people are worried about the unrest in Southeast, and I'm assuring them that there will be peace in Southeast once Anioma State is created as the choice of the of the Igbos. Now, what has happened is that the National Assembly Committee has put together a committee to decide on which state to choose from. There are about 7 states from Southeast, and we are one of those states because we at the public hearing we also presented our case in Enugu. So I am sure. I'm almost certain,
totally out of time.
I'm almost certain that we will be chosen.
All right.
What a fascinating and layered discussion that was. That conversation between Senator Ned Nwoko and Seun Okinbaloye on Channels Television wasn't just another political interview. It was a window into Nigeria's most delicate national questions: identity, justice, and equity. You could feel the tension and conviction in Nwoko's voice, especially when he argued that creating Anioma State and releasing Nnamdi Kanu could finally calm the agitations in the southeast. He spoke as both a lawyer and a son of Delta North, framing the issue not as politics but as unfinished justice, a promise Nigeria has failed to fulfill for over 70 years. On the other side, Seun Okinbaloye played his role perfectly, sharp, probing, yet respectful. He questioned the real feasibility of creating a new state in today's Nigeria, citing the constitutional roadblocks, the cost of governance, and even the lack of national appetite for most states. At some point, you could sense Nwoko's optimism clashing with Seun's realism, like two visions of Nigeria meeting head-on, one idealistic and one procedural. But what do you think about all this? Do you believe that adding one more state and freeing Nnamdi Kanu could truly bring peace to the southeast? Or are these just symbolic gestures that won't fix the deeper roots of marginalization and mistrust? Let's hear from you in the comments. Should Nigeria create an Anioma State? And is it time for a political solution in Nnamdi Kanu's case? Your thought could help shape this national conversation, so don't hold back. Now, let's look at this from a broader lens, because beneath the headlines, there are four major angles to this issue: political, constitutional, social, and emotional. Politically, Senator Nwoko is touching a nerve that has defined Nigeria's fault line since 1967 representation. The Southeast has only 5 states compared to 6 or 7 in other zones. The imbalance isn't just symbolic, it translates into fewer senators, fewer House members, less federal funding, and weaker influence in national decisions. So when he says, give the Igbos a 6th state, he's really saying, give them equal footing in the federation. Constitutionally, however, the road ahead is steep. Creating a new state requires legislative approval, a referendum, and a presidential consent, a procedure no civilian government has successfully completed since 1996. So while Nwoko's passion is admirable, the legal and bureaucratic mountains ahead are enormous. Socially, there is also the identity debate. Are the Anioma people of Delta North truly Igbos, or a distinct cultural mix of the South-South? That question alone could reopen old wounds, not just about ethnicity, but about belonging. Because in Nigeria, geography and identity have never been simple. And emotionally, this conversation cuts deep. For many Igbos, the demand for a new state and the release of Nnamdi Kanu isn't just politics. It is about dignity, recognition, and healing from the scars of war and neglect. In that sense, what Nwoko is offering isn't just a bill. It is a symbolic olive branch to a region still yearning to be fully seen. But can symbolism alone deliver peace? History tells us that peace in the Southeast won't come from one gesture, but from consistent inclusion, justice, and dialogue. Because without those, any new state may just be a new name on an old wound. At the end of the day, this interview reminds us how complex, yet how necessary these conversations are. Whether you agree with Senator Nwoko or not, one thing is clear: Nigeria's unity can't survive on silence. It must be built on fairness, empathy, and the courage to correct old mistakes. If you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so more Nigerians can join in these critical conversations. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep the gist. This is Naija Star News.